As we sit here in my four-cornered room, I can feel all your deepest emotion. I know I can't talk right, but I feel it from the depths of my soul. Oh yeah, yeah. I can understand where you're coming from. Y'all coming from my four-cornered room. Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah,
Anti-Afro Svengalis. It is indeed a four-cornered room. The walls are closing in, and I want to make it clear. This is something that Umar did to himself. This isn't anything that any of us did to him. Nobody forced, instructed, or told Umar to go around and lie about every aspect of his life, to make up stories about being a therapist, a family therapist, a psychologist, a child psychologist, a child therapist, or a school psychologist in private practice. He lied about that as well. The complaint process with the Department of Education in Pennsylvania is significantly more simplified. Please check out that form. And also, there have been some people working on this situation with Umar. We've had some movement, we've had some results. Hopefully you had a chance to check out the video that I posted on Monty Woodgrain's visit over to Hazmat Central, the abandoned bomb shelter, and Umar's response, which was to race attack and globophobe Monty Woodgrain and to threaten him with violence. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to bring that information over here and explain how it relates to what's happening with Umar now. There has been a development. Now, what you will see on the screen, it's called Teacher Information Management System, TIMS. This operates in Pennsylvania. You will see, I'm going to flash first for you so you'll be able to understand what's happening. 2018, August. This is supposedly Umar. Some people don't believe it's Umar. Some people believe he's using these documents. Fine, I'm not going to argue with y'all. But these are the documents that Umar claims are assigned to him in terms of credentials. So first you see here the screen for August 2018, and then I'm going to flash the screen for 2019, which is December, where the information was retrieved. You can first see it says active. Look very carefully. Here on the second screen, it says active pending appeal, and I'm going to explain to you what this means. Before I do that, I have to take you all down memory lane. This may be new information for some of you. Many of you may recall that Umar was brought up on charges by the Pennsylvania Board of Psychology for impersonating a psychologist. Although the whole process ended up being BS in terms of the claim of Umar saying he can use the title as psychologist because he works as a school psychologist, that ended up being in his favor. However, there's a catch. There's a very big catch. The person who rendered the decision, I don't want to call the person, I don't want to give the person a title because she didn't deserve the title. She was totally incompetent. And thank God she resigned shortly after this decision was made. Umar didn't celebrate that decision because it came away, the court documents, that is, with extremely incriminating, damaging evidence. And this is the evidence I'm going to show you and tell you why Umar and these so-called credentials are listing as under appeal. First off, let's start here. You see that Umar, as part of that legal process, claimed that he worked as a school psychologist since he supposedly got a certificate, which is supposedly 20 years. You can come back and read these later because I'm not going to stay on them for long. I'm just going to highlight them quickly. And then Umar claims he has an actual contract with the school that he worked at, that he said he worked at, which is Mathematics, Civics, Science Charter School. He claimed that he collaborates with all these professionals in the education field. This is all the documentation that was presented. Continuously, although requested, Umar never produced a contract. He never produced any proof that he was actually working at Mathematics, Civics, and Science Charter School in Philly. Veronica Joyner hired Umar as a straw employee like she did her son, and that's documented because he was paid full-time although he was working somewhere else, and this was through a audit they found this out. And I'm making it clear we're talking about Veronica Joyner's son, not Umar. She hired him as a janitor full-time. He, however, was not there during the day. He was working at another full-time job. And that was through an audit that was discovered. So Umar was claiming to work 10 hours a week and had some outrageously high number of special ed students on his caseload, which was a bunch of garbage. I don't believe he ever worked there. Perhaps I should be more specific. He never worked there, and the prosecuting attorney knew Umar never worked there because this is what Umar was using to say he could claim to be in private practice as a school psychologist because you must be working at a school in Pennsylvania. They don't care if it's contract, they don't care if it's part-time, but he did not meet that criteria and never proved the criteria. These court documents spell that out from A to Z. The court documents also cite multiple times when Umar lied about being a psychologist providing therapy and mental health services. Those quotations from the Breakfast Club, which is why I don't care he was in the Breakfast Club, because he again implicated himself. He can keep doing it over and over and over again. I'm showing you here how now it's coming full circle, and this is all coming back to bite Umar in the ass. He kept doing these things and saying these things and telling these lies because his goal was to get money. He never thought anybody would give a damn because he's victimizing only black folks. So once this court case got underway, this administrative hearing process rather, Veronica Joyner clearly kicked Umar to the curb because saying to someone who calls on the phone for another job, oh yeah, the person worked here is one thing. When the government is asking you to write down and verify somebody works there, that's another story. Bottom line, Umar never showed proof that he was employed. Fast forward to Act 48, which is Pennsylvania law, which states professionals in the education field who have certificates have to get at least 180 hours every 5 years. Umar did not fulfill that requirement. And this is my strong belief. There are thousands of people in the state of Pennsylvania who have credentials. There is no way that they can keep up and catch everybody right at the moment when he or she happens not to meet this 180 hour every 5 year requirement. They have caught up to Umar, and I think it's due in part to all of the complaints that have gone into all the agencies. Remember, all these agencies talk. They don't operate in a vacuum, people. They talk. So his number is up, and what he has done, he has filed an appeal to have these credentials, which I call fake credentials anyway, so these credentials won't be rendered inactive. All of you know out there, as well as I do, that Umar absolutely did not complete 180 hours of training. What has Umar been doing for the last 10 to 15 years? Flying all over the place on the money he has hijacked from our people. So here is the strategy when he made those statements about Monty Woodgrain. This is what I say. Do not even indulge in this idiotic banter. Do not argue with what Umar is saying. You simply contact the authorities who are in charge of doing what needs to be done, which will impact Umar the most. He doesn't care. I keep trying to explain this to you people. He doesn't give a damn whether or not he damages you as a black person. He doesn't give a shit if he hurts a child's feeling. He doesn't care if he takes money out of the mouths of single black mothers for his own selfish gain. It's irrelevant what Umar thinks about the community. All he uses the black community for is to steal money. And he's stealing the money by using fake credentials, claiming to be something that he is not. The Board of Psychology pointed this out, how let me go back to the one screen, where he is up here stating he is a therapist and he provides therapy and he has an office. This is all total and complete bullshit. So while he was running around, flying everywhere, he does not fulfill the continuing education slash training hours requirement. Now, let me tell you this. There is an exception that is granted if someone didn't finish the 180 hours, but that would include something like military service. You were ill, you were taking care of a sick relative, your child had medical problems, so you had to take him or her to a lot of appointments. None of those things would apply to Umar. There is no way, no reason why he could not have completed these hours. He was too busy in the hot tub in Japan. Remember that, people? Bragging about his frequent flyer miles. That is Umar's priority. So there is an option. Again, this is a response to yet another cycle of threats of violence against people who are simply acting, speaking freely, like all of us who are U.S. citizens or anybody here in the United States. So what needs to happen? They actually have a person in charge of hearing the appeals. I think we need to let these people know why he should not be granted an exception. He is not deserving of an exception to get these credentials reinstated so he can carry on the fraud of ripping us off. This is ridiculous, people. And I'm going to tell you something else. I'm actually going to guarantee you something, that Umar sent more lies trying to get this appeal and this extension granted. We have a right to make sure the truth is received by state officials. And I'm encouraging you all to make it known. This is not something we should allow to continue, because we know getting these extensions on these credentials that some of you think are fake anyway, it's only going to hurt our community. There is no reason for an extension. He had plenty of opportunity, and we need to make sure they are well aware of the itinerary, what he has been doing, because you know he sent over bald-faced lies. Please help us, because the only way Umar will be wrapped up is you go after the money. And the way he's getting the money is abusing our people, lying about credentials, claiming he doesn't have time in 5 years to complete 180 hours of training. He doesn't want to do training. He doesn't think anybody should tell him anything. This is the remedy. Do not argue. Do not debate. That is my philosophy. I'm not going to argue and debate facts. Fact of the matter is Umar continues to steal from our people. Fact, there will never be any school. There was never going to be any school. Fact, Umar needs to have these phony credentials so he can continue to use them to rip us off. No more. Don't debate these people. Just go for the gusto. What is happening is unjust. It's illegal. It's abusive, and it needs to stop. I can sit here and I can say whatever I want about Umar Johnson. He threatened to take my life. That's what Umar's been doing with this time, getting on YouTube threatening people. How he can run his next scheme to line his own pockets. Keep in mind, if these credentials are reinstated, you know who is going to be the proverbial victim. We all know who's going to suffer, continue to suffer, the most vulnerable sectors of our community. Stay together, band together in the anti fraud warrior spirit. Make your voices known. Do not tolerate this underbelly culture that people are trying to make the norm for our people. Most of all, never hesitate when it comes to asserting and heeding the warning. Fire, beware.